When both time and oneself hurt together, a person gets broken not only from outside, but also from inside. From the story I am going to tell you today, we are going to learn how we can avoid being cheated by people. What are those things? What are those things that we should always keep in mind, so that we can avoid being deceived by our own people in the future? So let's start the story. It occurred a long time ago. A young man lived in a village. He was a hunter, but he was not like other hunters. He had never killed any animal in his entire life. He could not raise his hand to kill any animal. All he had was a net and a flute with which he used to play very melodious tunes. Every day he would go to the forest, lay a net, and walk some distance away from the net and start playing the flute. Hearing the sweet sound of his flute, the birds kept flying. He would wait, and as soon as any bird came near his net, he would pull the rope and trap it. Then he would return to his home. He would feed the birds, take care of them, and listen to their lovely voices. Whenever he needed money, he would sell 2 or 3 of those birds. This bird hunter had a son, whose name was Henry. Henry was still young when his father fell ill and died. Now both Henry and his mother lived alone. The money they had soon ran out, and they had nothing to eat. Life became very difficult. Henry was small, but he had great courage and courage. He would help his mother in the work, and whenever he got time, he would go to the forest where his father used to catch birds. At last one day he told his mother that, "Mother, I am no longer a child. Now I'm a 16-year-old. You have worked very hard after father left. Now you bring me father's net and flute. From tomorrow I will also go to the forest and catch birds." His mother knew that he was a very brave boy, and he had been watching every nook and corner of the forest, so he brought him a flute and a net and gave it to him. Next morning, Henry got up early and walked into the forest. He was neither afraid of anything, nor did he think that he would forget the path, because he knew every part of the forest, went far into the dense forest, and started playing the flute. But not even a single bird came near him throughout the day. At last, when evening darkness started spreading in the forest, he returned home tired and empty-handed. His mother knew this would happen. Catching birds is not so easy that one can learn it in a single day. He consoled his son and explained that, "Son, your father also did not become expert in catching birds immediately. Now you will have to work very hard to learn this work." Henry was not one to lose courage. He continued this work through difficult times. After all, slowly and gradually make him play beautiful tunes on the flute, hiding oneself from the birds and swinging without moving. He learned to sit patiently for a long time, and the birds started getting trapped in his net. Like every day, he goes to the forest, keeps a net, and goes some distance. After some time, a very strange and beautiful bird got trapped in his net. There were 7 colors on it. He happily brought it to his home and locked the bird in a cage. When he woke up the next morning, he was surprised to see that the bird had laid a beautiful egg, and the egg was also of 7 colors. Henry thought that he should sell this egg in the market so that he can get some money. When he reached the market with the egg, the shopkeeper saw it. This shopkeeper was very clever and greedy. His only work was to cheat poor people and sell cheap things at expensive prices. As soon as Henry saw the colored egg in his hand, he immediately called out, "Hey, listen! Do you want to sell me this egg? I buy it." Henry already knew that the shopkeeper was a bad man. Due to his cunningness and greed, Henry said yes, but it would cost 20. The shopkeeper said okay. Henry was surprised to see that the clever shopkeeper did not try to reduce the price of that egg and took the egg by paying him 20. Henry sold the bird in the market and returned home and gave the 20 to his mother. The next morning he saw that the bird had again laid a similarly colored egg. He also went to the market and sold this egg to that clever shopkeeper. In this way, that bird would lay a beautiful and colorful egg every day, and Henry would sell it, and like this, mother and son would like to live a good life. One day Henry thought that this clever shopkeeper had bought the egg from me at a low price, but he must have bought it at a very high price, but will sell further. Thinking this, one day he followed the shopkeeper. That shopkeeper reached the palace after buying eggs, and Henry understood that the shopkeeper buys eggs from him every day and sells them to the king at expensive prices. Henry thought, why don't I myself go to the king with the egg and get more money? He did exactly the same. He went to the palace and the king gave him 2 for the price of an egg. When the clever shopkeeper saw that Henry no longer sells eggs to him, but instead goes to the palace himself and sells them to the king, he became very angry. One day he went to the king to teach Kabir a lesson, and said, King, why do you buy such an expensive egg from Henry? You can get these eggs absolutely free. The king said, how? The shopkeeper said, King Henry has a strange and beautiful bird which lays eggs every day. You snatch this bird from him. After that, you will have the egg and bird for free. The king ordered his soldiers to bring the bird immediately. After some time, the soldiers went to Henry's house. After taking the bird, Henry understood that it was the mischief of the clever shopkeeper. Because the king is so stupid that he can never imagine where eggs come from. But he was helpless because someone could give him severe punishment if he did not obey the king's orders. So Henry gave his bird to the king, but he did not lose courage. He picked up his flute and net, and the next day he went into the forest. He played such a sweet flute that birds from every corner of the forest started coming to him. Sometimes a pigeon, sometimes a nightingale, and sometimes a sparrow gets caught in its net. After Henry sold them, both mother and son started living a happy life. Henry now became famous in the entire city. Whenever someone wanted to raise a bird, he would come to Henry and would buy the bird from him and take him away after buying the bird. When the clever shopkeeper saw all this, he asked Henry to sell him this bird. Henry understood that he would buy the birds cheap and sell them to the people at a high price, so he refused. The clever shopkeeper got very angry. He went to the king and said that, King, the bird you had taken from Henry remains sad because of being alone. You ask Henry to catch another bird like this, so that your bird remains happy with its partner. The king was a little retarded, so he thought that the shopkeeper was right. He called Henry and ordered him that we want you to catch another bird like this, my bird's companion. Otherwise you will not be well. Henry tried to say something, but the king said that I do not want to hear even a single word. I will give you 30 days' time. If you do not bring another such bird inside within these 30 days, you will be killed. Henry was upset, but kept his courage. After that, Henry went to his home and told everything to his mother. Henry took blessings from his mother. After that, he reached the forest with his flute and net. He turned day into night. Where would he get such a strange and poor bird from? After a lot of hard work, his hard work bore fruit, and finally another similar bird got trapped in his net. Henry immediately caught the bird and took it away and gave it to the king. The king took bird but did not give even a single penny to Henry. Henry understood that the king is also like a shopkeeper. The difference is that he is clever, and this is stupid. The king was happy with the bird, but the clever shopkeeper got very angry. He knew that Henry is a very brave and hard-working boy. He will definitely take revenge one day. He thought that Henry would not be able to bring another bird, and the king would get it killed. But now he started feeling afraid of Henry, that he might put him in some trouble. Therefore, the shopkeeper thought of another trick to trap Henry. He reached the king and said, King, Perhaps you don't know that the life of the birds that Henry brings to you is in a flower. The king asked how. The shopkeeper said that I have heard from the elders that these birds dry the saman flower once in a year. If they do not get to smell these flowers, then they die, and these flowers grow in the garden of Black God. The king said, "But where will we get these flowers?" Because Black God does not allow anyone to come to his part, and even if someone reaches there, he kills him. The shopkeeper said that, "King, only one boy in the entire city can do this work. His name is Henry. Call him and ask him to bring the saman flower immediately." The king then did what the shopkeeper had said. That is, the king called Henry and said that you go to the place of Black God and bring saman flower for our birds, otherwise my birds will die. Henry said, "King, I gave you my bird. You said bring its companion. I caught that too and gave it to you. But your order is strange. I don't know where Black God's garden is." The king replied that you should ask that shopkeeper. He knows everything. Henry said that, "King, if the shopkeeper is so smart and knows everything, then ask him to bring the salmon flour himself." The king said, "No, the shopkeeper says that only you can do this work, and if my birds die, I will get you and your mother killed." Henry understood that saying anything to this idiot king was equivalent to smashing his head against the wall, and all this mischief was the shopkeeper's fault. So he returned home quietly. He started racking his brain as to what to do. There lived an old man in that city. He was a very intelligent person. Henry went to him and told him the whole story and asked whether it is true that there is a flower named salmon which grows in the garden of Black God, and the birds cannot survive without smelling it. The old man said, "Yes, it is true that these birds and these flowers definitely dry up one day in the year. Even if they go to a faraway hilly area, they definitely go near this flower in the off-season. That is why Black God definitely grows these flowers in his garden. In this way, these strange birds stay in his garden all the time." Henry asked that if I pluck that flower from that garden, will the birds also follow that flower? The old man said, "Yes, of course, but it is very difficult to reach that flower. There is only one door to that garden, and no one except that dark god can open it." Henry said that I will open it. Just tell me its address. The old man told him the way to the Black God's garden and also said that great wrestlers and brave people had gone there, but no one came back alive. God is very powerful. You try to keep quiet somehow. If he can't see you, then you will win. Otherwise, he will kill you. Henry listened and understood everything very well and got ready to leave the next morning. He had now come far away from his village. He kept walking, walking. At last, he reached the garden of Black God. When he reached there, he saw that the tiger had only one door, which was very big and was made by mixing big rocks. Even many wrestlers together could not shake him. He sat down near the door, but he was so tired that he immediately fell asleep. His eyes opened to the noise. The noise was such that it seemed as if a storm was coming. The noise was getting closer. He understood that Black God was going inside the tiger. He immediately hid. God could not see him and passed close to him. Henry felt as if a mountain was passing right by him. God opened the door of the tiger. Henry followed him quietly with bated breath, and as soon as he went inside the garden, Henry also went inside and immediately hid behind a bush. While catching birds in the forest, he had to remain hidden without moving for a long time. This habit helped him a lot here. God did not even realize that someone had followed him inside the tiger. That tiger was very beautiful. It had flowers of such strange colors that Henry was stunned. There were birds in it that he had never seen before. Henry remained hiding there. In the morning, Black God came out again. Perhaps he was going out in search of prey. When God left, He came out from behind the bush and started searching for a flower named saman in the garden, as if that old man had told him the signs. There he saw the same birds as he had given to the king, but he did not know which flower it was. There were all kinds of flowers in the garden. While roaming around, he saw a very big house. God lived in it. Henry went inside it. There were 20 rooms in that house. Every room was more beautiful than the other, but there was no one in the entire house. At last, when he reached the 15th room, he heard someone crying, but there was no one there. He felt that the sound was coming from under the carpet. When he lifted the carpet, there was a door in the floor. When he opened the door, the stairs were going underground. He went down the stairs and went inside. There was another darkness below. It was very dark. Now the crying had become louder. When Henry looked carefully, he saw a girl in the darkness who was sitting behind the table and crying. She had long hair, and she was crying. Seeing Kabir, she said, "Hey, guy, how did you get here? Who are you? Get out of here immediately. If that monster comes, he will tear you into pieces." Henry said, "Don't worry. He has gone out. Tell me, who are you?" The girl said that my name is Chanda. That evil god had taken me away many years ago. Since then, I am imprisoned here. Henry brought him down. He then asked, "Who are you, and why, and how have you come here?" Henry told the whole story, how he has come in search of saman flower. And if the flower is not found, then king can harm his mother. That girl that is Chanda said that I was the first to grow the flower named saman. If you take me out of here. So I will summon you, then all the birds will come to you. He told that there are also fast horses in Black God's column. Henry got carried away and untied 2 horses. That girl had plucked that flower also. Both of them rode the horse. Chanda knew that by pressing a stone into the tiger, the door of the tiger opens. In this way, both of them opened the doors and left from there on horseback. Both of them, driving their horses, reached Henry's city. Henry's mother was very happy to see her son. Henry then told the whole story to his mother. Then he took both of them inside and fed them. Then asked, "Tell me whether you got the flowers you had gone to pick or not." Henry said that, "Mother, when I went, I did not tell you anything. Then how did you know that I had gone to pick flowers?" His mother told that the king's soldiers come every day and ask whether Henry brought flowers or not. Both of them were just sitting when the king's soldiers also came and asked whether you brought flowers or not. Before he could say anything in reply, Chanda said, "Yes, I have brought it. After some time, he himself will go to the king with flowers." When the king's soldiers left, Chanda took a knife and cut his finger. 2 drops of blood emerged and turned into flowers. Chanda said that God knew that I could make saman flowers like this. That is why he kept me captive. Now take this flower to the king. When he reached the king with the flowers, the birds were sad. He had stopped wanting 6. As soon as the birds saw the flowers, they came to life and started speaking again. The king became happy, but the cunning shopkeeper got jealous seeing that Henry was successful again. Friends, it is true that one who has high spirits definitely gets success. We hope that you have learned a lot from this story. How did you like this story? Please do let us know by commenting in the comment box, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching.